Logan Wade flipping the tables on The Miz. A huge reveal there for the NXT Championship. Baszler versus Shirai for NXT TakeOver Brooklyn. Dillinger wins it. He proves EC3 wrong, but oh, there came Tony Nese. And EC3 watching on as his former partner suffers. Hello everyone and welcome. This is NXT. We are on the penultimate edition of NXT before we make it to Brooklyn. And what an evening that show is shaping up to be. We saw the news last week. Jay Lethal given a lifeline. He will compete for the NXT Championship next weekend. And as for tonight, he's in the ring in our main event tag match alongside his other contender in The Miz. Charlotte finally explaining her actions from weeks ago and a threat made to AJ Lee in the process. Well, folks, we are ready to get underway with this edition of NXT. In-ring action starts right now. Tag team match to come our way. You see Yo and Show there, but it's not going to be Roppongi 3K who are actually in the tag team match. It's going to be Show teaming up with none other than the Perfect 10, Ty Dillinger, to take on the NXT Tag Team Champions in the new Foundation. Saw it at the top of the show over there that Ty Dillinger picked up a surprise win over Noam Dar last week in singles action. But after the bell had rung, Tony Nese stormed the ring and put a huge clothesline on Dillinger before striking with the running Nese and laying him out as EC3 watched on. Ty Dillinger now may well have his issues with EC3 that looks to resolve, but right now he wants to resolve them with the new Foundation, calling upon Show of Roppongi 3K, because I think the last time we saw him was going up against Hideo Itami in a pretty entertaining contest, showing that he does have some credentials to himself. Hammerstein Ballroom chanting 10 as he heads towards the ring right now. Looking to make the most of this big opportunity is Ty Dillinger, looking to try and beat the tag team champions with a partner almost plucked at random. What would that say about Perfect? What would that say about his partnership with EC3 if with another tag team competitor he's able to defeat the tag team champions? That would rankle within EC3 is what it would. He would have issues with that. And you better believe he would want to settle them at some point, like I think they're going to have to settle their problems with one another at some point as well. Here they are, the tag team champions. We know, of course, they will be facing Los Ingobernables de Japón at NXT TakeOver Brooklyn. Nese and Dar ready for that one in a week's time, but they got to be ready for this tag team contest here this evening. You know, Dillinger may see this as a grudge match. Show may see this as a point of proof for Roppongi 3K to the new Foundation. You got to imagine they're seeing this as a tune-up match to get them ready for Evil and Sonata next weekend. Bret Hart watching on from the ramp as he will be standing at ringside here tonight, and you better believe next weekend as well. Show will start this contest against Tony Nese. Big opportunity, of course, for Roppongi 3K and as well for Ty Dillinger. Let's see what will happen in this contest. Chance for New Foundation really to silence what happened last week, to shut up Ty Dillinger. And as well as that, to hand a little bit, to bring a little bit of a helping hand, shall we say, towards EC3 in his quest to try and shut up Ty Dillinger and put him away. Sunset flip here by Nese, good counter, cover made. It was how? It was a roll-up, of course, that granted victory for Dillinger last week, and it almost granted Show the huge win over Tony Nese. In the corner he goes now. Tag is made. Dillinger in off the tag. What will Show look to do here? Big time! Double team move from Roppongi. 3K and Dillinger. Snaps him down. Diving fish drop there from Dillinger now as he goes to work on the man who jumped him after the bell last week. Dillinger out for a little bit of revenge on Tony Nese as well. Forearm shot there countered by Nese. Comes in with a big forearm. Now Noam Dar getting added back to this match. I wonder if EC3 is watching this on as he was watching last week backstage. I wonder if he's making anything of Dillinger right now, if he's maybe running his mouth to anyone who wants to hear him talk. Or if he's not even paying a state of mind to this match and to Dillinger anymore. I don't know. Dillinger starting his fight back though on Noam Dar here, looking to make it 2 for 2 over the Scottish Supernova. Tag made. Show comes back in. Double super kick takes down one half of the NXT Tag Team Champions. Talk about EC3 watching on. I imagine Los Ingobernables de Japón are also watching on as well, with the knowledge, of course, that they will be taking on this team in a week's time. They'll want to see them perhaps get derailed a little bit ahead of a hope of capturing those tag team titles. Tag made. In comes Tony Nese down. Let's see what will happen here. Nese in right away. Back suplex on Show. Gave up his back for a moment, then the Premier Athlete capitalized. Let's see what will happen here. Big clothesline takes Show off his feet now. Noam Dar back up to his on the outside and back on the apron. Oh, that was great there by Nese. Dodged the shot. There's a knee. Running big boot. Spinning heel kick as well. What a combination from Nese. Could that do enough here to finish off Show? Covers made. Kick out of 2. Great combination there from Nese though. It was like he suckered in Show and then Show fell for the trap basically. Great work there. It just goes to show how much the new foundation have improved, or how much rather Nese and Dar have improved since Bret Hart took them under his tutelage following his retirement. He said that he had a future tag team lined up, future tag team champions in this universe, and so far he is absolutely right with his prediction about the new foundation. Show has Noam Dar in the corner again. Tag is made back into Dillinger, and once again it'll be a rough ride for the tag team champions to endure, and the last thing they want is to take a move like that and to maybe tweak something, to pick up a minor injury or muscle spasm or muscle strain, trap a nerve, anything like that. They do not want to be at a disadvantage heading in to take over Brooklyn, because we saw how dominant and how controlling LIJ looked in the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic. They never seemed worried, they never seemed in doubt that they were winning. They were composed straight from the off. And that's something that the new foundation need to be. There's been often a joke made from those who watch NXT that Tony Nese is the one who carries this team an awful lot. But Noam Dar essentially just gets beaten up for an awful lot of time, and Tony Nese comes in and makes the save. They can't afford to have that happen against LIJ. We saw how well-oiled of a unit they were in the finals. That happens at TakeOver for the new foundation. If they cannot find a perfect 50-50 balance between one another, we've got new tag team champions. Top drop there made by Ty Dillinger as he fights back against Tony Nese now. Off the ropes. Sit out spinebuster. Hooks him in. Covers made. But wow, a very early kick out there from Tony Nese. Much to the chagrin, I would imagine, of the Perfect 10, who really wants this win. Nese comes flying in there and takes down Dillinger. Didn't really get all of it. Show putting out the arm, but Nese in the way between himself and Dillinger. Look out now. Pump handle. Power bomb from Nese. And a chance to shut up Ty Dillinger. A chance for EC3 to have a hearty laugh once more at his fallen tag team partner. And former tag team partner as well. Running Nese. Connects with it. Cover is made. Noam Dar stops Show. And it's over. The new foundation with another win under their belts, heading into Brooklyn. The tag team champions Oh, that for a reason. That was much more composed. Bret Hart said they were training ahead of Brooklyn, and that looks about right with a performance like we saw there. Dillinger, though, the one to take the fall. I can only imagine if EC3 was watching on what his reaction was like backstage. Oh, and apparently we're going to hear from him. Well, there you have it, folks. EC3 and Dillinger for TakeOver. That is set for then. These two men will finally settle their differences with one another at Brooklyn next weekend. Is Dillinger in the right frame of mind to try and take apart EC3? Or has EC3 won the mental game? And all that's left to do is to pin him down to the mat for 1, 2, 3. That may well be the case. But now we move on to our next contest of the evening, ladies and gentlemen. There he is, your NXT Global Champion, Hideo Itami, is making his way towards the ring. Itami, of course, will face the Stone Pitbull Tomohiro Ishii for the NXT Global Championship at NXT TakeOver Brooklyn. Itami already has a defense under his name of a former champion, Lio Rush. When they met in their rematch, Itami came off of that win, immediately grabbing a microphone, spurting about his victory and how great it felt. And he said anyone who made their way out from that curtain to face him in the ring, he'd face them at Brooklyn. Ishii was the first man out. He was out in seconds. He stared down Itami and the match was set. Hideo Itami, Tomohiro Ishii to come our way next weekend. A strong style match certainly to come our way then. As for right now, Itami tuning himself up as he goes one-on-one against Titus O'Neil here. I mean, a guy the size of O'Neil and the weight of him, certainly in terms of the weight, it's helping him get ready for Ishii. You know, Ishii and Itami may well be around the same size in all honesty, but the weight advantage that Ishii has, it's what makes him incredibly dangerous. And so Itami's going to have to try and use that really or get used to that rather in this ring. Spinning back fist right away knocks O'Neil off his feet. Titus really knowing what he's getting himself into, but the opportunity is still there for him to get a win here this evening. A huge, shocking win, or at the very, maybe least for him, a decent performance in against the NXT Global Champion. These are the two champions in action this evening. Of course, Io Shirai was in action last week. And Brian Cage, well, he's still suspended. But we know he will be there for NXT TakeOver Brooklyn when he defends that title in that triple threat match. His challengers in the main event, of course. As for right now, Itami looking to tear apart O'Neil, looking to do some damage ahead of TakeOver. That's exactly what he's doing right now. From corner to corner, he's sending Titus O'Neil and just brutalizing him with hard strikes here, taking him off his feet. And again, he does so with that DDT. See what else Itami's going to bring to the playing field now. What Ishii has to be prepared for. A takeover. There Itami's really found I wouldn't call it a lifeline. He's just found another wind following up from his former tag team with Kushida. He beat him at New Orleans. He went on to Chicago and retained it and won the NXT Global Championship, retaining it a few weeks later against Lio Rush. We haven't seen Rush since then on NXT. Just really found what makes him him, essentially. Everything that Kushida tried failed. And in the end, it ended up being the case that the best Hideo Itami was the one that Hideo Itami was trying to unlock after all this time. And he is in complete control right now over Titus O'Neil, just agonizing O'Neil really as he prepares for TakeOver Brooklyn, reminding Ishii of the trouble that he's going to be in next weekend. It's definitely going to be a tough match for Ishii, who is yet really to win a big one. I think Ishii has appeared on a vast number of takeovers. He was on last year's TakeOver Brooklyn, but I don't think he's won a match on a takeover before. Face first into the steel barricade. There goes the head of the champion. Titus now has him. Count up to 7 there, but O'Neil sending them back into the ring. Huge opportunity for Titus now. Can he capitalize and gain some control in this match? No, Itami stops him, drop kicks him down. Titus feeling the wrath of that one as he lays down in the ring right now. Itami goes out briefly. Look out now. Titus coming back up to his feet, staggered, dazed. Hideo Itami on the outside has brought in a steel chair into the ring. And he strikes with it. He busted open Titus with it. And he is lambasting Titus O'Neil with that steel chair now. Out of the ring he sends Titus and a microphone in his hand. Talk about viciousness. Talk about getting your statement out there. Hideo Itami doing just that right now at the expense of Titus O'Neil. The champion is brimming with ego heading into next weekend. Can Ishii stop him? That is a question for then. But a question for right now is, can Kalisto keep up his winning ways on NXT? Seen him in singles action these last few weeks, and I didn't think I'd be saying this about Kalisto after so long, but man, I'm impressed by him. He has been just finding his edge over and over again. He's been putting in some damn solid performances as well when he's got the opportunity to prove himself. There was Cassius Ohno, was it last week, I believe it was, or was it 2 weeks ago, beating him. There was, before that, I think it was Titus O'Neil. He is just, no, I think it was Heath Slater actually, but still, he is just finding his edge more and more with every week that passes, and I'll give him credit for that, because I didn't really think he had it in him. Maybe he is pulling a Hideo Itami, really, just finding his edge once more and getting better and better. Speaking of a guy who's wanting to get better and better as well, Josh Woods, one of the top prospects, I would say, on the NXT brand, with another chance to prove himself. Woods been training an awful lot of these last few weeks. Turns out he picked up a minor training injury heading into this edition of NXT. Has taped up ribs underneath. But he says he wants to fight on. He wants to prove himself. He's not going to let his injuries form some excuses for him. He wants to compete here. He wants to win. And he wants to really turn the attention away from Kalisto and back onto Josh Woods. Because where we're seeing guys who debuted at the same time as him, like Brody King, of course, excelling, getting their name out there, making themselves relevant again. Well, not relevant again, but making themselves relevant on NXT. The same can't really be said for Josh Woods. He started strong, but now he's finding himself stumbling. He's young in his career. He's got plenty of time to prove himself, but the worriment is that he's just not going to be able to find that extra kick that he needs to send him over the line and to really tap into that potential. See, Woods is going to choose to wrestle with his shirt on here. That rib injury, maybe he wants to try and not aggravate it, hoping to keep his shirt on. Maybe it won't make it a target for Kalisto either. We'll see about that. Big super kick in the get-go from Kalisto as we get underway here between these two now. Chop in the chest. Kalisto unloading away with quick strikes on the leg. I think Kalisto might have enough respect in him if he knows about the injury to Woods to really lay off on the ribs and try and target other areas. And again, Salida del Sol might well do some damage to the ribs should he hit it. Woods with the Northern Light suplex. That is a lovely bridge on Kalisto here. Looking to put him away. Very early kick out, but great strength from Woods. And basically his first move of the match there. Look out now. Belly to belly from him. 4-time All-American, I believe Josh Woods is. An incredible amateur wrestler. And so far showing decent signs, making the switch to pro wrestling as well. Back suplex incoming. No, Kalisto rolls his way out of it. Nice agility there, all kicking the ribs. Josh Woods may well felt that one. Kalisto again into the ribs. I don't know if he may not know about the injury to Josh Woods' ribs. Maybe Woods has kept that fairly contained, and Kalisto's just got to do the business. Just expect this to be a normal match. Look at the athleticism there of Kalisto. As he now has an opportunity to capitalize here. Big forearm lining up the jawline of Woods. Not once, but twice. Irish whip off the ropes again. Neck breaker down there by Kalisto. Take himself to the apron here. Incoming. Looks for us. Oh, went for a frog splash there. Woods was already on his knees and was able to move his way out of it. Choke lifted. Spine buster there. Or choke lift, sit out bomb, whatever you want to call it. Almost got the win on Kalisto there. That was about 2.5. Woods with quite a surprised look on his face. Maybe a look of worriment as well. Thought that could have been enough. Misses with the knees in the corner there. There's that weird, the freakish athleticism, I think might be a better way of saying it, of Josh Woods. There's a guy his height and his size able to pull off something like that. Rolling kick there though by Kalisto, who's continuing on from his recent momentum in these last few weeks, but succumbing there to a big snap German suplex. Both guys are going to prove themselves to the crowd and to the general manager as well. Big kick there from Woods. Smacks him. Hal Nelson facebuster there from Josh Woods brings him down into the mat. Look at the strength now of Woods being illustrated again. Choke toss on Kalisto. Injured ribs or not, Josh Woods is really showing that his power is something to be afraid of. In we go again with a belly to belly. Hoists him up to his feet. Lines it up. Superman punch connects. And that could finish off Kalisto. Big win for Josh Woods. Almost had him. Kalisto kicks out at 2.5. So close there for Josh Woods, really within inches. Might look for that choke sit out. Bomb again. Kalisto comes up with a counter. And a strong one at that. Woods rolls out to the apron, hoping to find a breathing room here. Met with a forearm in the face, though, is Kalisto. Woods comes in, misses with the big boot. Kalisto has an opening. Salida del Sol from Kalisto. Cover and another win. He's racking them up. Kalisto wins again on NXT. Tag team wrestling for the longest time had brought Kalisto down, put him back in singles action, and he is rising up the ranks. Another win for the Lucha Dragon. Kalisto impressing more and more with every week that passes. Good on him as well. We heard her name being brought up earlier this evening, but now we see her in action. Mayu Iwatani will go one-on-one with the #1 contender to the NXT Women's Championship in Shayna Baszler. We know that Baszler is going to contend for that title next weekend at NXT TakeOver Brooklyn. She will face Io Shirai with the NXT Women's Championship on the line. She has made a beeline through everyone. Has Shayna Baszler? There weren't really that many left to contend with her, and the NXT general manager knew it. That's why last week he declared, following a tag team victory over the Iconics, that Shayna Baszler was the #1 contender for Io Shirai's title. Shirai went on, of course, later that evening to have a great main event against Toni Storm that she ended up with victory in. Shayna Baszler, right now, though, looking to get a big win here over Mayu Iwatani and keep the momentum rolling, keep the ball going as she heads into TakeOver Brooklyn. The biggest TakeOver of the year, as I call it, because it's where so many great moments for NXT have transpired. Last year, may well have been the best takeover there's been. The first ever Women's Elimination Chamber, won by Tessa Blanchard. And of course, don't forget that main event last year between Cora and Tyler Bate for the NXT title. What a war that one was. And the way we are heading into this takeover, it feels like it'll be more than about 2 matches. It feels like almost every match has the potential to be an absolute classic. And I think Baszler and Shirai has all the makings of that as well. You see Mercedes Martinez lingering in the background for Shayna Baszler. A dangerous athlete is Baszler. We know that every time she steps in the ring, her MMA background really shows her dominance. She is not someone who you can just try and look past. She calls herself the Queen of Spades for a reason. She is a dangerous athlete in that ring. Iwatani has felt it before, and I think she is about to feel it again, in all honesty. Iwatani, of course, was in the target sights of Charlotte a few weeks back. Just to put her mind off of that right now and onto that dangerous athlete that is Shayna Baszler. Let's see how things will go right now. Colin Elbow tie up to get us going between these two. I've talked a lot tonight about people watching on backstage. And I think Io Shirai is going to be another one of those who is going to be watching on, because she realizes that Shayna Baszler is the largest threat to her title in this whole division. And she will want more than anything to study Baszler. I think that's what helped her against Rhea Ripley at TakeOver Chicago. She studied her opponent, but she also had experience against her opponent. She has experience against Shayna Baszler. She has non-title wins over her. And wins over her, I think, before she won the belt as well. But Shayna Baszler, much the same how Rhea Ripley was when they met for the title match, has just got better and better. She's got more and more dangerous. She's got tougher and tougher in that ring. And again, it's going to be a test of the resiliency of Io Shirai much more than it will be her wrestling ability. She is going to get tested. Look out. Iwatani to the outside. Baszler swatted away that drop kick, though, like it was nothing. Like Iwatani was a flea traveling towards her. And Baszler returns into the ring with control now. That is what makes Shayna Baszler so powerful, really, so dominant in the ring, is her power advantage, is her natural strength. And of course, if all else fails, she can rely upon Mercedes Martinez at ringside to do something about it as well. This is with the kick there. Baszler in Saito suplex now, takes down Iwatani right down in the head and neck, and here comes an armbar now. Cross-legged armbar. Iwatani not going to tap out to it. Will slip her way out of that hold. Quick strikes get her free of the grip as well. Super kick got Baszler there. Standing shooting star after it as well. Iwatani wanted to make the most of this opportunity, and she is doing just that. Cover made, kick out. Kick in the back, nailing with that one with Shayna Baszler. Look out now. Big time suplex coming in. Got all of it. Connects with that kick in the back as well on Iwatani right now, and this may be where the striking aspect of Shayna Baszler comes out to play. Huge knee there. Iwatani staggered and now off her feet following that reverse DDT. Shayna Baszler, of course, will look to set up for the ace of spades, that Kirifuda driver of hers that has put away so many women in the past. And next weekend could put away Io Shirai to result in a new NXT Women's Champion. Iwatani slipping away out of that hold there. Drop kick takes down Shayna Baszler now. Opening is still there for Iwatani to cause an upset here over the #1 contender and get herself maybe in a talking point for that title. Single leg Boston Crab being applied here on Iwatani. Baszler kicks her away though. And we'll look for an element of control here. Turns her around. German suplex. Good bridge after it. Will this finish off Iwatani? No, very early kick out. Still showing signs of resiliency is Mayu Iwatani, but Shayna Baszler not interested there. Look at the strength. Launching her into that turnbuckle. And now just striking a woman while she's dazed. The lights seem to be fading in Iwatani. Maybe I was wrong there. Super kick. Misses with it. Baszler will capitalize right away. Look at this. Takes away the leg now. Leg lock stitched in. Look at this. Has the legs trapped over. Iwatani in trouble. But she will slip her way out. Punching her way out again. Baszler being tested here, and the longer this match goes on, the more it could benefit Io Shirai heading into their match, especially if Iwatani leaves with victory. Just crossed my mind, the last time these two women met, I believe it left with a victory for Mayu Iwatani, though that was through distraction. And it doesn't look like it's incoming this time, because here it is. Ace of Spades is locked in. That clutch is applied. Baszler locking herself around the body of Iwatani. And she has no choice but to tap. Shayna Baszler wins it. And the #1 contender looking as dominant as ever. Heading. Oh no. The match is over. But Baszler isn't. As she assaults away on Iwatani. But here comes the champ. Shirai in. Io Shirai coming to the aid of her friend. And the fight could be on between these two women. Oh! Baszler socked her. Saito suplex now. The fight is on. But it seems to be going the way of Shayna Baszler. Outside of the ring we go now. What is she going to do here? Oh no. Ace of Spades on the outside. Ace of Spades on the outside. Choking at the champion. Shirai trying to come to the rescue. And she ended up falling to the wrath of Baszler as well. Could that be the outcome at Brooklyn? Well, we might not know until next week. We do get a preview in some sorts towards that triple threat match for the NXT Championship. The Miz and Jay Lethal on opposing sides in our main event. So here we go. Mike Kanellis already in the ring, ladies and gentlemen. We are running short of time here on this edition of NXT. And of course, with so many individual entrances to be made as well. Want to get straight into the action as soon as possible, and NXT wants to provide him the big main event as it preps itself up for NXT TakeOver. Maria is at the ringside with Mike Kanellis. Maurice not here this evening. Not too certain as to why. I'm not going to speculate, but we do know, of course, the last time she was at ringside for a contest with The Miz in it, he ended up beating Jay Lethal and taking his ticket to take over Brooklyn. However, it was under such controversial circumstances that the result couldn't stand. And do you know what? Yeah, it was the right decision by Logan Wayne to let it stand, to not let it stand, because it was a distraction by Maurice into brass knuckles into the skull-crushing finale. There was so much shenanigans heading into the build-up. Jay Lethal did not deserve to be robbed of that opportunity, and it wasn't even as if Logan Wayne was willing to wait to make that announcement. He waited the very next NXT. He comes out and he says to Miz, don't run your mouth, because Lethal is getting his opportunity. But he couldn't take the Miz's opportunity away from him either. And that is why we are now presented with a triple threat match heading into next weekend. Here comes that man, given the lifeline by the NXT General Manager. Jay Lethal, of course, and The Miz are the contenders for the title that Brian Cage holds. It's going to be dangerous at TakeOver to see what Brian Cage will look like. How much time has he had to hit the gym to prep to make himself even more dangerous in that ring heading in to TakeOver Brooklyn? I, of course, have said for so long that you need more than one guy if you want to take that title away from Cage. We have two, but are they even going to be enough to take apart Brian Cage with all that we've seen him do since TakeOver Chicago? He would storm the ring during a match, walk in, beat both men up, and leave. He's the reason Drago's no longer in this universe. I mean, it was Drago's farewell match, but he made him leave on a sour note. He threw him through a table. And you have to question, when it comes to TakeOver Brooklyn, do Lethal and The Miz have it in them to make sure that one of them can leave with the title? Do they have it in them to make sure the Machine will no longer be causing rampages over NXT with that title around his waist? I may be sounding like a hypocrite here because of what I've said about needing more than one guy. I don't know if these two guys are enough. Lethal is perhaps the best wrestler, all-around wrestler on NXT. Miz, well, he could find a needle in a haystack and then proceed to use it as a weapon. But it feels like if you needed a guy to take him apart, you would need a guy like this. A guy like Jeff Cobb to finish off the job. He comes towards the ring right now, ready and raring to go. Cobb knows all too well what it's like to be in the ring with Brian Cage. They met in a war at TakeOver Chicago. I loved every moment of it. And so did everyone tuning in. It was man versus machine. It was one of the purest forms of man in Jeff Cobb versing an absolute peak in machinery in Brian Cage. And in the end, machine conquered man and left with that win. Cobb and Lethal could be a dangerous partnership this evening for Kanellis and The Miz. It's going to be tough to see how they'll be able to overcome this wrestling caliber that these two guys represent and these two guys possess. Kanellis, of course, has a great past in this universe, but it's not about the past anymore. It's about the present. Kanellis has been getting better, has been improving more and more in the ring. I mean, this was the fatal four-way battle royal that determined the #1 contender to Brian Cage's NXT championship, that of course was won by Lethal, according to Miz, in controversial circumstances. Apparently getting thrown over the top rope and both your feet hitting the floor is controversial, or is some kind of cheating, according to the Miz. Wasn't the case, of course, as we all know. And then Kanellis getting assaulted backstage as well by Brian Cage after he was eliminated from the match. That was, of course, what led to the suspension of Cage by NXT General Manager Logan Wayne. Contest still continuing on right now. Lethal and Kanellis locking horns. Not for much longer. Here we go. These two men going to meet once again. Miz and Lethal getting their hands on one another. And I wonder, when the Miz sees Jay Lethal, does he see a man who has robbed him of an opportunity that should have been his, or does he see him as a man who could aid him towards getting that NXT championship? Right now, Miz is showing no niceties towards Jay Lethal. Slugging away with him there early on, just opening up shots on him. Elbow drop down in the chest there. For a big kick there. Jay Lethal, though, coming up with the counter, sending Miz into the turnbuckle now. Will it be the turn of the former Olympian Jeff Cobb? It most certainly will be. Look at this now. These two guys working together with some tandem tag team offense. Friends backstage and showing their confidence and their ability to work together in the ring as well. Cobb in, looking for a big crucifix bomb, it would seem. Miz slips his way out, nails the neck breaker. Stomps down on Cobb as well. Now an opening here for the Miz to take control against a man, of course, who did take on Brian Cage in the past. It would be a big win for Miz to get a win over Jeff Cobb and to really show that he is on a high level here in NXT and that he could be worthy of trying to take that title away from Brian Cage. Of course, next weekend, those brass knuckles that Miz is known for, they will be completely legal. He will be able to use them to his own beck and call. Still be as underhanded as ever, but at least it'd be legal. Look out now, Cobb with something dangerous in his mind on the outside, right in front of Maria. Mike Kanellis in trouble. No, Kanellis fighting his way out of that one. I think he might have been powerbombed down in the apron there if he didn't get himself out of that hold in time. The former ECW champion able to slip his way out. And look at the strength now as he slams Jeff Cobb down. Kanellis also looking to make the most of this opportunity as well. Big back elbow takes Cobb off his feet here. Jeff Cobb, though, look at the strength, look at the ability. Punching him down into the mat right then and there. Here we go. Power bomb incoming. Down on the knees. Just raw strength from Jeff Cobb. Oh no, this is... the human body's not meant to bend like that. His foot is touching his head. That is absolute agony for Kanellis. But he slips his way out of that hole there, and a good thing he did, because his body couldn't have taken much more punishment like that. Dropkick gets him a little bit of an opening now. Kanellis showing that he is starting to find the edge that made him a former ECW champion, and a long reigning one at that, as Miz comes back in. Now reverse DDT, Cobb goes down. Lethal trying to basically find some life here for Cobb in the ring, trying to cheer him on, really trying to get the crowd to help him out here. Cobb may have well found it here. Irish whip off the ropes. Oh, just runs into him there and goes down. That's the natural strength of Jeff Cobb. Knee in the gut there by Miz. Clothesline takes Cobb off his feet. And Miz soaking in the confidence right now. And here come those it kicks from the Miz, parodied from Daniel Bryan. Gets him across the head with it. Again, Lethal calling for the tag, and Miz just almost teasing, taunting Cobb in that moment. Cobb slips his way out of the way though, throws him in the turnbuckle. Tag is made, Lethal legal man again. Body blow sheer from Cobb. Running big boot from Lethal. Running splash from Cobb. More tag team offense from these guys. Say what I mean, if things don't work out for either of these guys, if things don't work out for Lethal or Brooklyn, you may well have found a tag team partner. Up on the top rope, there's Kanellis. Right place, right time to throw him off that top rope and to create an opening for the Miz there. Both men down, slow up to their feet here. But they get back up, and the fight can continue on between these two arch nemesis heading into next weekend's TakeOver Brooklyn. Irish whip in the corner. There's that clothesline of the Miz. Lethal had no response to it there, and he might not have a response for this. Imagine what this would do for the Miz's ego. Heading into TakeOver. Skull-crushing finale is counted. Dragon suplex from Lethal with a bridge. Miz, though, able to stretch himself and make those ropes. That's good work there from the Miz, I will say. Taking the leg there. Snap Miz him down. And again in with that big boot. This time, it's to Lethal. Tag is made into Kanellis. Lethal able to crawl though. Tag is made. In comes Jeff Cobb. And Kanellis goes running, charging right into Cobb. That is not a place where you want to be against that pent-up Jeff Cobb right now, who's showing his aggression right away. Another power bomb and another trip down on those knees for Kanellis' back. Oh, look at this. That's not even breaking a sweat for Jeff Cobb. Huge gorilla press. Gachi Moochie moonsault. This is all Jeff Cobb right now. He may be 2-on-1 down, but the Miz doesn't look like he's rushing to get involved. He's probably thinking about saving himself for Brooklyn, for Lethal, for Cage. And Kanellis is the one who instead may have to succumb to the wrath of Jeff Cobb. Here we go, up on his feet. Tour of the Islands. Jeff Cobb gets him. Cover's made. It's over. Cobb and Lethal win it. Victory for Jeff Cobb, but things haven't ended. The fight is still breaking out. Lethal and the Miz are scrapping with one another, and they are fighting their way up the ramp. The match has ended. Cobb is just watching in the ring and letting these two men swing at one another. They despise each other, and they are exploring that to the fullest extent right now. This isn't even for the title. Neither of them hold that belt. But this is how much their hatred means to each other. Heading into Brooklyn, they are just flat out brawling with one another. It's like the title has passed them by, and their natural hatred for one another has taken its place instead. The fight continues on here. Up the ramp they continue to go, and all the way to Brooklyn if they want to. This will mean its end next weekend to Brooklyn. But the fight just keeps on going. We're out of time on NXT. We've got to go.